I want to talk, though, about the troops, about the paramilitary, about the deployment of federal officers in some form to polling locations to create mistrust, intimidation, and who knows what else in terms of skullduggery. Republicans on the Senate Armed Services Committee just blocked an amendment that would have strengthened the current ban on federal troops being at polling places. On top of that, we have the comments that you referred to from President Trump about wanting to deploy ICE officers, National Guard troops, or other federal agents to polling places. Now, a tough department, I'm going to be fair and journalistic about this and note that Heather Honey, the Department of Homeland Security's Deputy Assistant Secretary for Election Integrity, said that on a private phone call that immigration officers will not be stationed at polling places in November. This was a private representation that Ms. Honey made, but you have these open threats from the president of the United States to do just that. What does all of that tell you? What does that vote from Republicans in the Senate tell you? What does the current fact pattern tell you about the likelihood of intent to do just that and send federal agents to polling places?
As I said in the top, I mean, one thing about Donald Trump is he follows through on what he says he's going to do. And I've written about this in terms of the law around the Insurrection Act, for example. It's extremely broad and vague. A lot of these laws that are designed to protect the public from executive overreach were enacted against a backdrop of presidents complying with norms. Presidents, we can trace back transgressions by presidents, but they do take an oath to uphold the Constitution. Donald Trump campaigned on suspending the Constitution, and he's actually succeeded in many ways that we can talk about with the blessing of the Supreme Court to do that. So the Insurrection Act in this moment is very broad, very broad. I think that's one of those instances where, absent some act of Congress, there's a good faith, legitimate argument. I don't know about good faith, but there's a legitimate legal argument for manufacturing a crisis that would technically justify putting troops in the streets around elections. I'm not condoning that, but I'm saying one thing that Trump does, in addition to just being clear about where he's going, is that he finds, or his team finds, pliability in the law, areas that are a little bit vague, and then he pushes them to places that no one would dare go and says, listen, no one said specifically this is a ban or this is forbidden, because it's never happened before. And then lawyers kind of get into lawyerly gymnastics on the head of a pin and argue this absurdity.